Well, all right, family, glad you can join me. All right, so I think we're going to try to keep this a little bit simple and have like a method to our madness here, and we're going to start with some classics, the combinations and stuff with some punches, and we'll work through it. One of the things I want to emphasize here is I want you to get a feel of how you're going to build your workout, how you're going to, with your choices and of techniques and stuff like that, and how they will lead to other things and feed off of other things, okay? It'll make more sense as we go. So let's get to it, eh? So I think the whole theme here is we're going to be working off the jab, the hook, and the uppercut. All right, so for starters, you should be warmed up a little bit ahead of time, stretched out a little bit ahead of time, and so let's get this thing going here. So we're throwing a jab, let's say a jab to the head, all right, then a hook to the head, all right, then an uppercut, right? I think I'm already doing the combos, so it's two of each one. So jab to head, jab to body, hook to head, hook to body, uppercut to head, uppercut to body. How does that sound? All right? Pretty cool. All right, so don't make the mistake I often make, which is I really, at my height or whatever, I have sort of like three levels. I have the upper, a mid, and a lower and stuff. So sometimes I get really comfortable throwing that mid, feeling that it's a lower. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. So yeah. One way or another, or ultimately the point is to get some level out of it. You'll feel it, you'll understand, and you'll know. There's a certain amount of range where you'll still kind of feel like everything is upper, all right? And then you'll cross that threshold and there'll be another range and everything, and you'll be in the lower, right? So let's make sure that we get, a point is to get like two levels out of the each combo, right? So I want you to have an upper and I want you to have a lower. All right, so let's do this, hey? Right? Sometimes just getting a little bit of that extra stuff in the wrists and the fingers and stuff, getting that second blood flow moving through. I think this is like afternoon, early afternoon, something like that. A bit overcast, and it's cold actually, pretty sharp. All right, so jab to the head, jab to the body, hook to the head, hook to the body, uppercut to the head, uppercut to the body. Now, pretty soon I'll start to talk about it and we're going to get into it. All right, we're going to add a couple of positions to our drill here, right? So first things first, all right, generally speaking, the hook is generally speaking, you can think of the hook as close range, all right? Any punch can be close range, depending on if you can control it, and you can make it close range, all right? And any punch or most punches can be long range too. If you have enough control and you can control it, then you can sort of throw it to a long range. There is no limitation, but some tend to be more effective in one way than another, right? So the hook definitely can be like, if you want to broaden it, mid to close range, but the uppercut tends to be a lot more close range, and you might feel awkward when you're throwing it long range and stuff. But I think that there's a lot of cool things to practice and learn by getting that uppercut out there a little bit, extending it just a little bit and stuff. And I think, based on my experience, that you're probably going to feel the most awkward doing that with the uppercut. And from my experience, I think you'll probably feel the most awkward doubling up on the uppercut. So that means, you know, you're throwing the uppercut high and then throwing it low. You'll probably feel a little bit awkward or whatever. You might be able to get off the first uppercut, but throwing that second one might feel a little bit awkward and coming back and stuff. So one way to get out of that awkwardness is to not think or to not be self-conscious or to not focus too much on how slow you might be or how slow you might feel and stuff, and just do it right. That's for the start. So do your uppercut and then bring it back, chamber completely back, dip your whole body again for the next leverage again, and just throw the uppercut again. All right, don't worry about it being so fast and fluid and stuff like that, okay? All right. All right, so don't worry, we have plenty of time. We're going to just, this is the emphasis, this is the core of what we're going to work with, all right? So what we're working with, though, we're working with these 3 punches, and we're working with these double combos on each one, so double jab, double hook, double uppercut, and stuff. So, cool, right? We're going to emphasize punches here a little bit, and we're not going to emphasize kicks as much either in this one. So imagine this workout is where you're emphasizing punches a lot more. Maybe you're resting your legs. Maybe you're just going to have a separate session with your legs, which I will do after this. So I won't be doing any legs in this drill right here, in this video point right here. All right, now, so what we're getting to is, here we go. I'm showing you how we're going to add these body positions to our drills, and it's very important. These body positions, they are an important part of our drills, right? So the first body position that's going to go along with our whole set of punches. The whole set of punches will be the double jabs, double hooks, and double uppercut. All right. Along with that, I want to introduce 1, 2, 3, 4 different subtle positions, or 4 different pretty cool positions that cover everything. Pretty simple positions, right? The first position will be you throwing the punch from whatever stance you're in, and not taking any step or whatever, but you can lean your body into it. All right. The second position will be you stepping and stuff. The third will be you stepping but then punching as you slide back, and the fourth will be you leaping into the punch and stuff. The first position will be you throwing the punch from whatever stance you're in, and not taking any step or whatever, but you can lean your body into it. All right. The second position will be you stepping and stuff. The third will be you stepping but then punching as you slide back, and the fourth will be you leaping into the punch and stuff. Okay? Nothing you haven't been into before. Hope you're having a really good time. Hope you're making some progress. Maybe you haven't worked out in a little bit. That's okay. Well, this is perfect. All right. But the cool thing about what we're doing here is I'm giving you practice. It's not the only time. We've done this before, but I'm giving you practice on how to build a session. All right. How to work through a session, and then how to allow what you do to inspire you and suggest and lead to other things during that suggestion. Because sometimes it's not all about just mentally trying to figure out what combos you're going to do. Sometimes you come up with it, or it just inspires, or just unfolds, it develops, and you're like, oh yeah. Okay, so here you're seeing that's the step one, and there's the leap one. And we'll go through it again. Don't worry, we'll go through it again. So the first positioning we're doing with our set, okay, is just the body. So I don't want you to step to give yourself any of the leverage or the dip, but your body can do the dipping. So I still want your body to do the dipping, yes. All right. The next set is I want you to take a step and while throwing the punch, or then step and throw the punch. So allow that step to give you the leverage, to give you that angle. Right? The third one is I want you to take that step again, but make sure you make a conscious effort. I don't want you to punch while taking that step, or right after you take that step. But I want you to take that step, and then as you bringing that step back, as you're sliding out of that step, I want you to punch. All right? And lastly, the fourth position is I want you to leap into your leverage, into your step or position, and punch. Punch during the leap, or punch as you land in the leap. The point is leap. All right, you got that? So let's do that, and let's see what we can do. Cool. So let's see if I can mention some things, some extra little things that might help as you're going to go through this now. Now, I just want you to go through the whole, all 4 of those body positions while doing the 3 sets of punches. What extra I'm looking, or I would encourage you to pay attention to, is try to take note at what comes natural to you, what feels really good to you, and what doesn't. Everyone could be a little bit different. So maybe doing double uppercuts just comes natural to you. Maybe you're really good at that one, but maybe doing double hooks you don't like, or it doesn't seem to happen so well. And of course, you can imagine now what I just said. Just mix and match it. So pay attention. Maybe you're good at just leaning and throwing the double uppercuts, but when you take a step, maybe it makes you a little bit tight, or you find a harder time doing the double uppercuts. You know what I'm saying? Just mix and match the possibilities of what I'm asking you to pay attention to and to try to identify. And once you do identify that stuff, you're going to work on it and stuff. Go really slow. Take it back to slow, be fluid, and repetition. There is no secret, really. There are no secrets ultimately that can't be solved or are not equivalent to repetition. Repetition, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds turn into thousands, turn into tens of thousands. And that's it. And that's the great thing. And you know what? That's a beautiful thing too, because you don't need to have a gift. Everyone has some kind of gift. Everyone is great at something or some aspect of something, okay, and not so great at another aspect of that something. And it's really cool that we can just overcome that through repetition. It doesn't mean you might be amazing all the time at every single thing, but yeah, it certainly does mean that you can enjoy it and get good at it and have some fun with it as well. So here I'm showing you, you see how that's sliding back? I might be pressured for time, might not. Maybe I'll come back to it. Maybe I'll handle it right now. But there are a lot of interesting things happening, and if I remember correctly, I actually touch on that a little bit later with the hook and how to twist and snap into that hook. Yeah. There are some interesting things that happen on the comeback. Now, is an understanding that when you retreat or draw back as you're throwing a punch, there is the danger and there is the normal physics of also losing some power, losing some leverage or some kind of effectiveness too, because you're sort of retreating, you're dissipating, or you're giving up your dedication or position to it. On the other hand, there are some other benefits that happen as well, though. So it's quite a deceptive thing as well. Leaning in and coming towards your opponent and then retreating as your opponent drives forward and you striking on that retreat back could fall into the counter category. But if you play your cards correctly, you don't have to lose any power at all. If you allow the momentum, you see, you're generating a momentum, you're generating a force, a motion. Even though it's a retreating motion, you're still generating a motion. Now, during that retreat, if at any given moment you take that motion and then twist it, use it as torque, okay? So let's say we're able to linearly understand that motion in a linear sense, okay, going forward and back, okay, and then you break that in a perpendicular, so you intersect it, all right, and then so driving left or right at a right angle to it or some kind of 45-degree angle to that, well, that's quite interesting, the power that you can harness with that. All right, and then of course there's all circular natures as well. And if you're really going to get into the physics of it, at some points in a circular motion, there's a range of that in that circular motion that can be described as a retreat, as a drawback. Okay, but we all understand that there's lots of great things to harness in that circular motion. Okay, as you go through that drawback and then reapproach or re-enter a thrusting forward. Cool, right? All right, so back to our stuff. You're working on this. You're working on this drills. Don't worry, because we're going to throw in a whole bunch of other stuff as well. I'm pretty sure we don't do any kicks and stuff like that. I'm not sure. Maybe we do. Maybe we do and stuff. And I'm just getting mixed up because I had a separate dedicated kick session after I did this recording. I don't always record every single thing. I mean, it could be a little bit tedious and stuff, but I certainly have made a really cool effort to record a lot of stuff and share it with you guys. And I thank you so much for being so supportive through this journey, because in some respects it really is a big deal. I've probably mentioned it in some chats and stuff with you folks, how once upon a time this went against all of my principles and stuff. It's just much more of a Cold War competitive situation. You never reveal, what you know, and especially provide or make it available so that your enemy can see that and stuff. But like I once said as well, if we all thought like that, then we'd never have a reason or find a way to share it all, and that would be a really great loss. So yeah, there are risks. So as you can imagine, everything that you may be inspired by or learning from or whatnot, the enemy is also learning and stuff. But we can't let that phase us, right? Because the truth is, good always prevails and stuff. But there's a balance to everything and stuff. But don't worry. The good will outweigh the bad. Because that's just how it is over here. That's just how it is. All right, so you should be getting a bit comfortable with the whole process of, getting really comfortable with this. You don't have to get overly complicated and do like 100,000, blah, 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 right? We can just keep drilling this. We have all the time in the world. In fact, a lifetime. And then we have lifetimes and stuff. And we've all been soldiers. We've all been fighters. We've all been battling. We've all been scratching and clawing and surviving and facing adversities and stuff like that. So I feel that training like this is like a metaphor, is a version of what we've always been doing in one way or another. It's an expression, it's an art form. It's also fundamental, absolute, divine, sacred, all of that stuff, all of that stuff. It's psychology too, man. Yeah, sure, maybe we're working through our shit as well. Okay, so jabbing high, low, hook high, low, uppercut, high, low. You could start out with them all being slow range. Close range, you can start with them all being slow, really slow. There's a lot of really benefit from going slow. I've mentioned that before. It's not as easy as you think. People think, oh, it's easy to go slow. There's nothing in that. No, not at all. In fact, if you have poor form, if you have a poor balance or something is wrong, going slow is sometimes going slow can really exaggerate that and bring that out, and you're just not going to feel great while you're going slow. Think of it like in a very simple logic. If you have some kind of poor technique or poor form and you go really slow, so let's say you just spent a minute in that poor stance or poor form, you're going to feel that. You're not going to like that, right? If you just do a blazing punch and you had poor form, you might spend 2 seconds, 1 second in that poor form. You might not recognize it, hence bad habits form. So even if you're not going slow now, I definitely recommend going slow and having slow sessions and stuff to identify and to feel and to also test yourself. There are lots of slow techniques that you will not be able to do slow if you do not have a good stance or balance. Well, all right. So we have our foundation, and we're going to build off that foundation. We're going to keep with that theme and build off it. And I'll see you in part 2, family. Cheers.